GAFX 2025, we now have the opportunity and privilege to hear from some of our influential voices, governance and industries. Please welcome on stage our distinguished speaker to share with us his vision and his thoughts. We have the Chairman of Keonics, Shri.Sharath Bachegowda.
Maybe just to bring a bit of a local flavor into the proceedings, ವೇದಿಕೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಆಸೀನರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಪಂಚಾಯತ್ ರಾಜ್, ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣಾಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಮತ್ತು ITBTನ ಸಚಿವರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆತ್ಮೀಯರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶಿಗಳಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಿಯಾಂಕ್ ಖರ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ ಅವರೇ, ಬಯೋಕಾನಿನ ಸಂಸ್ಥಾಪಕರು ಮತ್ತು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಶ್ವಾದ್ಯಂತ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ತಂದುಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಿರಣ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ ರವರೇ, ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿ ಅವರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಏಕ್ರೂಪ್ ಮೇಡಮ್ ರವರೇ, ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಾರಣೀಕರ್ತರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವೀರೇನ್ ಘೋಷ್ ಅವರೇ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜಾಜು ಸರ್ ಅವರೇ, ವೇದಿಕೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಆಸೀನರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗಣ್ಯಾತಿ ಗಣ್ಯರೇ, ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ AVGCನ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಣ್ಣ ತಮ್ಮಂದ್ರೆ, I extend a very warm welcome to all our friends of the AVGC sector, and I must say that GAFX holds a very special place in my heart, mainly for two reasons. The first reason is one of the first program that I attended after becoming chairman of Keonics under the Department of ITBT was GAFX 2024. So it's with a very warm heart that I recollect the events of GAFX. And also a second, first was a government-sponsored tour or a government-sponsored trip to see how the AVGC sector we took up when we went to Europe and especially spent some time in Annecy in France. So one of the first things which we did when we were in Annecy in France is we said, we want to bring a part of Annecy back to Bangalore and make sure that we can replicate what is happening in Annecy, which is one of the world's most premier AVGC events in Bangalore. And I think with great pride I can say, we've not just bought back a small bit, we've bought back a big chunk of Annecy back to Bangalore, and GAFX 2025 is much bigger and better for the experience and exposure that we've had at Annecy. And at the risk of maybe slightly irritating His Excellency, the Ambassador to France, I think the only difference between Annecy and Bangalore is that Bangalore is, in my biased opinion, slightly prettier than Annecy. So, having said that, if you look at the targets which the government has set for itself as to what we want to do in the AVGC field, I think the targets are quite clear. An $800 billion industry worldwide. We are looking at about 5% of this $800 billion industry, which is about $40 billion for the state of Karnataka. The overall media and entertainment percentage, I think already what A-Group Madam said, we are looking to boost it from about 20% AVGC contribution to 35% AVGC contribution. If you ask me, all of these are very humble targets which the government has set for itself. India's demographic dividend. India's demographic dividend means that we are completely ripe for the AVGC sector. The median age of India is 29 years. 65% of India's population is below 35 years. What does this mean? As A-Group ma'am already said, we have the largest gaming population in the world. If you look at the largest anime fan base, India has the second largest anime fan base in the world. And if you look at steps going forward into the future, as the anime fan base grows, India is going to contribute 60% towards the growth of this fan base. So there is consumption, there are consumers, there are consumptions definitely available in India. The same applies to content creation as well. If you look at the age bracket in which India exists, 29 years is the median age. So there are a lot of young people, youngsters, who have potential for content creation, potential for entry into AVGC, potential for absorption of technology, and potential for content creation. So if you look at it, India is completely ripe and India is ready both with content consumption and for content creation. So if we put these two together, I don't see why we cannot achieve the target of a 50 billion AVGC sector and 35% in media and entertainment. If you look further forward in the industry, as things have been going, as things have been progressing, Biren sir mentioned it, we worked as a service industry for a long time. We worked as a service industry for studios for a long time. But I think it's time for India to break out. And I think it's time for India to leverage on its rich cultural heritage and rich cultural history and tell stories which are relevant for the world on a world stage. I think as a part of 2025, we've got to focus heavily on Indian content creation and Indian IP creation. And of course, services needed. Service is an important part of what we are doing over here for the industry growth. But we need to look towards how we can leverage our culture, leverage our history, leverage our storytelling abilities to make content which is relevant for the world. We have a lot of mythology, we have a lot of imaginary characters in our stories. If you look at Ramayana, Mahabharata, all these tales, they are filled with what could be easily adapted into anime, what could be easily adapted into animation and visual effects. So with this, I would say that what we are doing over here, we've been continuously calling the AVGC sector a sunrise sector. But I think it's time to go beyond that. The sun has already risen, and it is time for us here in India to make hay. Because the world is changing very quickly, the world is changing very rapidly. As Biren sir was saying, there's a lot of disruptions which are going on in the world. We've seen that studios in Hollywood are going through a lot of turmoil and churn. We are seeing that AI is impacting the way content is created in many ways. Even India hasn't stayed insulated from these disruptions. We over here are feeling these disruptions as well. But as Biren was saying, disruption is a great opportunity for us to create something new, to start something exciting. And I think with all the students which we have over here, with all the youngsters which we have over here, and with the work that the government of Karnataka is doing over here, we are doing a lot of exciting things to make sure that Karnataka is at the forefront of this transformation which is taking place in the AVGC sector. If you just look at some of the preliminary steps which the state has taken, if you look at what we've done in terms of skilling, the state of Karnataka, under the able leadership of Nipuna program, through which the government has set aside 300 crore rupees for skilling of youngsters, predominantly in IT and IT-enabled fields and in AVGC. If you look at the way we are supporting technology, we are setting up COEs, we are supporting the AVGC companies to acquire hardware and IT infrastructure which is expensive. The government is also supporting studios to go outside, meet customers, sell their stories, production houses to get exposure on a global platform. So if you ask me, Karnataka as a state is a place where we've got a proactive government, a government which understands the industry, a government who wants to support the industry, and right now the time is right. We have the stories, we have the talent, we have a supportive government. I think we all need to go out, scale, and make sure that we attain our complete potential. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak over here, and I wish everybody who's a part of GAFX 2025 all the best.